Welcome back to Inexpensive Arms. My name's Steve. More pew, less dollars. That's what we're trying to get here. Alright guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at the Bear Creek Arsenal 16-inch lightweight barrel. It's chambered in 223 Wylde mid-length gas system. It has a 1-in-8 twist. So a couple of things are unique about this barrel. There's only a couple other manufacturers out there that make a similar profile barrel as this. So it's a lightweight profile barrel, which basically means from the barrel nut up to the gas block, it's like a pencil profile type barrel. And then it has a normal size gas block journal, so a .750 diameter gas block will fit on it, which is a standard gas block. And then once you get past that area, then it goes back to a pencil profile. Now, I love this profile just because it's much easier to taper pin something like this safely. You have more meat to drill into the barrel as opposed to a normal pencil profile barrel, which is .625 gas block journal. There's just a lot less that you can drill into if you're going to taper pin a barrel, which is what I do. The other nice thing is it's money saving for people because you can use a cheap, readily available gas block, the .750. Now, one thing is this is the 223 Wylde caliber. That's basically kind of a slightly tighter tolerance chamber than a 5.56 NATO. It'll still safely shoot 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington. They just take just a little bit of the slop out of the throat. It is a Parkerized finish, so it's not nitride treated. It's not chrome lined. So something like this, you could probably expect, I don't know, 8 to 12,000 rounds before it starts, getting worn out. Not a big deal, but also not going to be as durable as something that's nitride treated or that's chrome lined. So something a lot of you guys are probably asking right about now is, okay, it's a lightweight barrel. How lightweight? And according to Bear Creek Arsenal's website, it is 1.55 pounds, which is a little over 24 ounces, about almost 25 ounces. I have no reason to doubt that. And as configured, as you see in the video right here, without any sights on it, I wound up at 5 pounds, 13 ounces for the entire build. So I started out without any sights just to get a function check. I wanted to dump a mag or two through it just to make sure everything was working as it should be. And I started out loading up a magazine of 5.56. It's ZQI ammo. It's made in Turkey. It's just an SS-109, so like a green tip type ammo, but it's full power 5.56 ammo. And got one round fired, and then immediately started having problems, and eventually realized that I had a fail to extract. So the round was actually the brass was stuck in the chamber, just didn't rip out. So keep in mind, these are the very first rounds that have been fired out of the weapon. There's not been anything that's been shot out of the barrel yet. So luckily I'd brought with me a fiberglass rod just in case I had any problems like this. And let me tell you guys, that's a lifesaver. Harbor Freight sells these in like a 10-pack basically. It's an 8 or a 10-pack, something like that. But it's designed to fish electrical wired down conduit boxes. But if you chop off the metal ends on either end, and I just put some heat shrink wrap on the end, on the bare end, it's a perfect range rod just for tapping out a stuck case if it ever happens to you. Doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while you get a barrel, the very first shot or two, it'll be, it'll have a tendency to get jammed up or gummed up. So that's exactly what happened here. I wound up tapping the round out. I ran a bore snake through it a couple of times with a little CLP and cleaned the crap out of the chamber, cleaned the crap out of the bore, and resumed firing. And I loaded up this time 5 rounds of Australian Outback 223 ammo, since it is actually loaded to 223 pressures instead of 5.56. I just wanted to see how that would work, and it functioned perfectly. I switched over to the 5.56, the ZQI ammo that had previously jammed, and I didn't have any more problems whatsoever. It functioned flawlessly from then on out for the rest of the day. So there might have been a little bit of just oil or just a little bit of grunge from the machining process that wasn't cleared out, and it just ended up just grabbing that case just enough to not extract. So I think we're all good now. All right, so after getting everything running properly, took it out to 100 yards, and this is the ammo that I tested with. Starting, IMI Razor Core 77 grain, Hornady 73 grain ELD match, IMI Razor Core 69 grain, Australian Outback 69 grain, Federal soft point 64 grain, and that's just a Federal hunting varmint load. PMC 62 grain light armor penetrating, so that's the green tip M855 type ammo. ZQI 62 grain light armor penetrating, so same type of ammo, not painted green, made in Turkey. Australian Outback 55 grain Blitz King, Frontier 55 grain, Wolf 55 grain, American Eagle 55 grain, and lastly, rounding it out, Tula 55 grain steel cased ammo. Now, one thing I should note is because it's a lightweight barrel, one thing that we typically see with lightweight barrels is as you shoot and the barrel heats up, groups start opening up. I was expecting that with this barrel, and surprisingly, I didn't quite see it to the extent that I thought it would. And to the point that I was relatively impressed with how well this little barrel held up, maintaining accuracy, or at least maintaining consistency, with one notable exception, and I'll show you that, but I'm pretty sure that's just the load. All right, so starting out, IMI 77 grain Razor Core. Respectable, but not great. 2.6 inches. I'd say mediocre at best, actually. Hornady 73 grain ELD Match, 2.8 inches. Again, I was very disappointed with that load. IMI 69 grain. Starting to look up a little bit, 1.7 inches. Australian Outback 69 grain, starting to tighten up even more, 1.5 inches. Federal Soft Point 64 grain, again, this is the varmint load, 1.8 inches. PMC 62 grain, this is the green tip, light armor penetrating, 5.56 ammo, 3.2 inches. And I was very surprised by this next result, ZQI 62 grain, light armor penetrating. I got to be honest, guys, this normally shoots like crap in most of my barrels, like 4 or 5 MOA, 1.6 inch group. It shot very well out of this barrel. Next up was the Australian Outback 55 grain Blitz King, and that shot the best group of the day at 1.4 inches. Next was Frontier 55 grain, shot respectably at 2.75 inches. Normally I get a little bit better than that, but that was respectable. Wolf 55 grain turned in a pretty decent group at 2.2 inches. American Eagle 55 grain, 3.8 inches. It wasn't that bad. It's plinking ammo, but still, I was hoping for a little bit better than that. And then lastly, Tula 55 grain, just 10-inch group. That was just all over the place. It wasn't me. It's steel-cased ammo. I've found out that a lot of barrels just are notorious for not liking Tula. I wish I had some Wolf steel-cased ammo because I guarantee that probably would have been more like 4 or 5 MOA, but 'tis what it is. It's a 10-inch group out of that, so doesn't like the steel case stuff. All right, next up, we had a 200-yard target, and I didn't have a whole lot of extra ammo in my range kit with me that I wanted to waste, but I did have 10 rounds of 69 grain Australian Outback, and took that out to the 200-yard range. I wound up with a 5.25-inch group at 200 yards, so that works out to about a 2.6 MOA group, which is, a little pretty much in line with what we saw before, a little bit worse. But again, this is a 10-round group. And this was fired rapidly, probably 3 to 4 seconds in between each shot. Just enough time to get a good sight picture, just enough time to get a good respiratory pause before pressing the trigger. And I feel confident in every single trigger press, but obviously, it's a little over 2.5 MOA. And almost identical performance out of the Blitz King. So we had the Australian Outback 55 grain Blitz King, 10 rounds, 5.1 inches. A little bit better and a little bit more consistent, but again, more of the same. And I had 5 rounds left over that I fired at the bottom target, but unfortunately one of them dropped off. It looks to be about, those 4 rounds are probably landed in about a 2-inch group or less. Which would make it a 1 MOA group, but obviously one of them's off target, so we don't know how big it would have been. But overall, that was the results that we saw. Alrighty, so let's talk value. I paid $60 shipped to my door, 58 and some change, and it's $60 right now. And I think this is a pretty good value for the money. And let me explain. This particular segment, the lightweight segment, is generally speaking a not inexpensive market segment to hit. you pay for the lightweightness. This is a relatively lightweight barrel, and it is inexpensive compared to the competition. Now, you can find $60 barrels from other places like PSA, Bear Creek Arsenal has a bunch of them, and other manufacturers occasionally. But when you start looking at a lightweight profile barrel, you start getting into more money. You start looking at companies like Faxon, like Ballistic Advantage, and the price goes up 2-3 times as much. So for this particular style of barrel, I feel like this is a pretty good value. Now the downside is, again, it's just a Parkerized finish and the bore is unlined. So you're only going to get probably between 8 and 12 or 13,000 rounds. Let's say 8 to 15,000 rounds. But again, the average person will never shoot that barrel out. The average person is probably going to put 500 or 1,000 rounds at most per year through a barrel. And, it might take you 15 years to shoot out a barrel. So for the average person, this is a great value. If you're looking to build a budget lightweight rifle, there's better barrels out there. But again, you kind of pay for what you get. And this has, across the board, overall, great performance with a pretty broad spectrum of ammo. I was really, really surprised that it didn't start opening up more than it did. I mean, it pretty consistently shot between, I'd say 3 MOA at the outside and more like 1.5 to 2 MOA consistently with a really broad spectrum of ammo. And that's something that's really hard to do with a lot of lightweight barrels. Even the higher end barrels, you're probably not going to get much better performance than that in the lightweight profile barrels. You're just not. It has to do with barrel harmonics. It has to do with the load and how everything's just kind of comes together. And this is kind of hitting a lot of wickets where it's just a little Goldilocks price performance deal. So I highly recommend this barrel at $60. Now, once you start getting higher than that, like if this same barrel costs $90 to $100, I'd say spend a few bucks more and get something like a Faxon, something from a company that has a more proven track record as far as the lightweight profile barrels go, and has the bonus of a nitride treated or a chrome lining to it, so it'll extend the length and longevity of the barrel. But in this market segment, which is bottom bargain basement pricing, this barrel really gives you a lot for the money. You could very easily, I think, put together a straight up 5-pound or sub 5-pound build using this barrel as a basis, maybe using a lighter weight bolt carrier group, and just being a little bit more judicious about some of the parts that went into your build. You could get down right now to easily below 5.5 pounds and probably more like right at 5 pounds using a barrel like this, and keeping the build price low, like $400 or so, where you're not using exotic materials like titanium or magnesium upper and lower, or just anything stupid like that. You could buy some off-the-shelf parts and have a very lightweight, low-cost, capable carbine that is just handy-dandy for just about everything. So if you guys are looking for a budget lightweight barrel, buy this barrel. It's a great barrel. No problems with it whatsoever. I wish it was nitride treated. That's the only thing I wish. But let's be honest, for $55, $60, you're going to give up something to get something. So hopefully this gives some of you guys a little bit more confidence in this particular barrel and in building something that can be lightweight, capable, and doesn't open up like crazy once it heats up. Because like I said, as you can see from the target, I didn't take my time or let it cool down in between strings. I just shot straight through, and as you can see, across over 100 rounds, I mean, this is basically 3 magazines worth of shooting that I did. It held nice, consistent, decently tight groups. I recommend this barrel wholeheartedly, and good job, Bear Creek Arsenal. Now, I'm going to have a couple more barrels to review. I am officially out of Bear Creek Arsenal barrels to review, so you guys might see some different brands sneaking in here, so you're welcome. I just got to kind of climb through my safe. I'm kind of like a pack rat when it comes to barrels. I had a problem where if I saw a cheap barrel for a while, I would buy it and snap it up, and now I just got to kind of work through them, test them out, figure out what I'm going to keep and what I'm not. But I wasn't planning on keeping this barrel, to be honest with you guys, and I probably will. I like it. It points nice. I think this is the perfect type of barrel to build a lightweight, just like a truck gun or just something you can throw in the back, and it's not going to be super heavy, and it'll be reasonably accurate and do a great job. So, hope it helps you guys out. As always, I'm Steve, and this is Inexpensive Arms. More pew, less dollars.